Project Artemis is bringing together a lot of the partners who've been working on a really challenging issue. That is the child grooming or online enticement of children for sexual purposes.
Perpetrators, adults, individuals who are trying to contact children without their awareness in order to do awful things to them, either in the online space by coercing imagery, video footage, and or with the intention to meet up with them in person to continue that harm.
We know that with all of the great things that technology has given us, there is a dark side to it. There are bad people in the world, and they have a reach today that they have never, ever had.
An adult male who couldn't walk up to a 10-year-old on a city street and develop a relationship with them suddenly has easy, legitimate, and anonymous access with that child.
It may be a man claiming to be a woman, it may be an adult claiming to be a child or somebody around the same age. And there's no way for that child to be able to actually check.
When people see a playground, the commingling of adults and children and how they interact in that playground also has cultural expectations and cultural demands placed on that really aren't the same in the digital world.
And it's become a vehicle through which those who prey upon children attempt to win their confidence, develop a relationship with them, and then exploit or victimize them, either meeting in real life in the physical world, persuading the child to take inappropriate pictures and then circulating them to extort or blackmail the child. It's really an insidious problem that has exploded in recent years.
Sometimes offenders will have hundreds, if not thousands, of victims. And so those victims can be spread throughout the United States. They can be spread throughout the world.
We know that 1 in 4 young people have been contacted by a stranger online. We have about 150 reports a week from 12 and 13-year-olds experiencing sextortion.
And what we want to do is take advantage of all the wonderful things that technology has brought us, but start mitigating how bad actors are weaponizing this technology. And that requires a huge amount of effort from academics such as myself, from NGOs, from government agencies, and of course from the industry.
We're bringing together engineers and technical people and lawyers and policy folks and operational folks to look at this problem from a 360-degree perspective and see what we could do.
And so we're bringing partners together to share a technique that can help, importantly, draw a flag where online text messages, text chains, may be moving towards the pattern of online grooming of a child for sexual purposes.
Project Artemis enables conversations between a potential perpetrator and a potential vulnerable child to be monitored and looked at for key triggers so that if an individual is attempting to groom a child, those triggers can be identified.
This tool will identify those interactions either because of the content or the nature of the communication that represent the greatest level of risk and intervene.
And so we're looking for threat vectors. We are looking for patterns of speech, patterns of behavior, patterns of conversation that may lead to a grooming or a sextortion or a sexual abuse.
To identify when the communicators online are likely an adult and a child, look for key terms and words that are signals of inappropriate intent, like the request for certain photos, and then develop a mechanism for triaging.
And if we find that, then we ask human moderators to step in and review the conversations and make sure that the technology is correct. And if it is, then they take the appropriate measures, whether that's a law enforcement contact, whether that's banning a user, whether that's sending a message, a warning message, or whether that's saying, hey, this is actually perfectly fine. It's 2 adults engaging in some flirting.
Predators are absolutely working together. They are working collaboratively to try and evade detection, to share techniques and tools as to how to go about grooming children. And we need to be more sophisticated, more collaborative with each other to try and combat that.
Roblox, the Meet Group, Xbox, engineers across Microsoft came together to help think about how they could move what was a patented tool into a technique for broader deployment. and Dr. Hani Farid helped that technical team.
Many companies have been trying to tackle this problem for years now, and they've all learned different things. And so when we all come together, we learn from each other. You know, company A may say, hey, we tried this and it didn't work. Company B will say, hey, we tried this and it worked. And so the efforts of Artemis is really a collaboration of looking across the sectors, what worked, what didn't work, and trying to take the best of the things that worked.
The tool that's being developed, it has to continually learn, and it can't learn without data. So it's all about cooperation.
By working with other groups, we get the benefit of a larger pool of shared expertise, got the benefit of collaborating with others on data being used to train this system.
To make the tool really effective, it needs more than a couple of key players to work with it and adopt it and roll it out. There will be strength in the tool continuing to learn through enhanced data sets, which will only come as the tool is picked up and used by more and more end service users.
We need to refine and improve this technique just as those who are preying on young children for these purposes are changing their tactics. These predators don't use one platform. They don't use one app. We need broad deployment of these tools if we're really going to advance the fight against online child sexual exploitation.
We want as many companies to participate in this program as possible. So getting them in early, I think, is incredibly important to have buy-in. Because at the end of the day, we want to develop technology, we want to give it away for free, but we want adoption. That's what we want. And the more people you have contributing early on, the better it is.
Now today, what is really important is that we're sharing this technique, what we've called codename Project Artemis, with Thorn, a dedicated nonprofit who will be the custodian to distribute this to more technology platforms across the globe.
And that's what the Internet Watch Foundation can do. We've got over 140 industry members, and they range from gaming companies, internet service providers, hosting providers, social media companies. Microsoft are members of ours as well. So we need to be able to try and bring all those people together, bring all those data sets together.
This is not a Microsoft issue, this is not a Facebook issue, this is not a Google issue. This is an industry issue, and we want buy-in from as many companies as possible.
Our challenge is to persuade every company that is has the potential of these kinds of interactions to take the steps to use this tool to begin to put in place the kinds of protections that are necessary for America's children, for the world's children.
And really what we're talking about here is trying to protect children and potentially trying to stop them from suffering abuse at all. And that's really where we want to be. We want to really stop the abuse taking place in the first place, and to do that we need collaboration.
It is incumbent upon companies to take responsibility and understand what the risks are and deploy tools like Project Artemis and surface the abuse before it escalates to a point of no return.